I'm a 34-year-old man, married, middle management, the kind of guy people describe as steady, not exciting, not dramatic. I show up on time, I do my job, I come home, I listen more than I talk. I believe consistency was enough to hold a life together. The night everything began looked ordinary enough to be forgettable. That's the part that still bothers me. It started with a party I didn't attend. My office had organized a weekend get-together. One of those casual corporate things with music, drinks, and forced smiles. I skipped it because I had a deadline breathing down my neck. My wife went instead. She said it would be good for her to socialize, maybe help my image a little. I didn't argue. I trusted her. That was my mistake, though not in the way people expect. She came home late that night. Not stumbling, not drunk. Just energized. Talking faster than usual. Laughing at things that weren't jokes. She smelled different. Not perfume. Just unfamiliar. I noticed it. I filed it away. Marriage teaches you which instincts to listen to and which to silence. I chose silence. Over the next few weeks, small things shifted. Not enough to accuse. Enough to feel. She started guarding her phone, turning it face down, taking it into the bathroom, smiling at messages, then clearing her throat when I entered the room. She mentioned my office colleague more than once. Always casually, always in passing. He said this, he thinks that, he's funny actually. I worked with that man every day. He was the kind of person who took up space even when he said nothing. Loud confidence. Casual entitlement. He treated boundaries like suggestions. The office tolerated him because he delivered results and because leadership liked people who reminded them of themselves 10 years earlier. He knew I was married. He knew she was my wife. The first real crack came one evening when I reached for her phone on the couch, just to check the time. She flinched. Not dramatically. Just enough. What? I asked. Nothing, she said too quickly. Just surprised. That was when I stopped ignoring my instincts. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I started watching. Listening. Not spying. Observing. There's a difference. You don't need passwords to notice patterns. Late nights became normal. Work stuff. Weekend errands stretched into hours. She grew defensive over harmless questions. When I asked if something was wrong, she accused me of being insecure. That word. It's a powerful weapon when used casually. Meanwhile, at work, my colleague changed too. He became friendlier. Too friendly. Asking about my marriage. Making jokes that danced right up to the line and waited for me to react. Once, during lunch, he leaned back and said, "You're lucky, man. Not everyone gets to have it all." I remember looking at him and thinking the smile didn't reach his eyes. The confirmation didn't come as a dramatic discovery. No messages popping up. No lipstick stains. It came through repetition. Familiarity. 1,000 tiny overlaps that formed a picture I didn't want to see. They shared playlists. I heard one playing in the car that I knew he listened to at work. She used phrases he used. She defended him in conversations where he wasn't present. And the worst part, she began to emotionally withdraw from me while still occupying the same physical space. One night, I asked her directly, "Are you happy?" She hesitated. That pause did more damage than any confession could have. "I don't know," she said. "I feel seen lately." I didn't ask who was seeing her. I already knew. What I didn't know yet was how far it had gone, how entitled they felt, and how comfortable they were using me as background noise in their story. That came later. For now, I was standing at the edge of something collapsing, trying to decide whether to scream, walk away, or stay quiet long enough to understand the full shape of the betrayal forming in front of me. I chose to stay quiet, and that decision would change everything. Silence changes how you hear things. Once I stopped confronting and started listening, the house felt louder. Every notification, every step, every pause between words. I didn't need proof anymore. I needed clarity. It came faster than I expected. One evening, she left her laptop open on the dining table. Not hidden, not locked, almost careless. I wasn't looking for anything. I was cleaning up. That's the truth. Then I saw a chat window minimized at the corner of the screen. My office email domain stared back at me. I didn't open it immediately. That hesitation mattered, because once you read something like that, you don't unread it. You don't go back to the version of yourself that believed effort and loyalty were enough. I clicked. There were no explicit words, no dramatic declarations, just familiarity, comfort, private jokes, complaints about me disguised as concern. He wrote like he already belonged there. You deserve someone who understands you. You shouldn't feel guilty for wanting more. I can't believe he doesn't see what he has. Each line was crafted to sound supportive while slowly carving me out of my own marriage. The timestamps told the real story. Late nights, early mornings, during meetings, during dinners I cooked. I closed the laptop and walked into the bathroom. Not to cry, to breathe. Long, slow breaths. I looked at myself in the mirror and noticed something strange. I wasn't angry yet. I was focused. That night, I didn't say anything. Neither did she. She lay beside me, scrolling through her phone, smiling at a screen I no longer needed to see to understand. The next week was a masterclass in entitlement. My colleague began acting different at work. Not subtle anymore. He interrupted me in meetings, questioned my decisions publicly, took credit for ideas I'd shared in private. When I pushed back, he smiled like I was being unreasonable. Once, after a meeting, he pulled me aside. "You seem tense," he said. "Everything okay at home?" The audacity of it landed heavier than the betrayal itself. At home, my wife became colder, sharper. She started reframing our entire relationship as something I'd failed at. Conversations turned into interrogations where I was always on defense. "You're emotionally unavailable. You don't listen. You're married to your job." Every sentence was an attempt to justify what she was already doing. Then came the first dirty trick. She suggested a temporary separation. Not dramatic, framed as space. She wanted me to stay with a friend for a while, so she could think. When I said no, that this was my home too, she accused me of controlling her. The second trick came from work. I was quietly removed from a project I'd led for months. No explanation, no warning. My colleagues stepped in smoothly, like it had always been his. When I asked management, they said it was a strategic shift. His words, not theirs. That's when clicked. They weren't just having an affair. They were aligning, strategizing, reshaping their lives in a way that pushed me out without having to confront me directly. The final confirmation came at another office gathering. This time I attended. I watched them from across the room. The way they stood too close. The way he leaned in when he spoke to her. The way she laughed before he finished his sentences. They didn't notice me watching. Or worse, they did and didn't care. At one point, he placed a hand on her lower back. Casual, familiar, possessive. I walked over. He didn't move his hand. That told me everything. I said nothing, just looked at him, then at her. Then I walked away. Later that night, she confronted me instead. "You embarrassed me," she said. I waited. "You've been acting weird for weeks," she continued. "If you don't trust me, maybe that's the real problem." I nodded, not because I agreed, because I was done arguing. What they didn't realize was that I had stopped reacting. And when someone like me stops reacting, it's not because he's weak. It's because he's planning. If you get some interest to listening the story, stay tuned for the next part. Something unexpected has happened. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for more stories which can be happens with you, and share the video with your known ones.